Hey, thank you for the question. I appreciate it. I did a follow-up question to understand what the industry is, and basically it's what I understand is the offloading and reloading of containers either at a rail station or at a Gulf station, and that's what I understand, right? So again, and let me know. But here's the thing. A couple things. I worked at a rail yard in Missouri, in same situation, right? This large organization bought out three or four of these rail stations, and we happened to work in one of them, and we had established efficiencies, right? Return on investment type of thing. So, anyways, we went in there. Same process that I'm teaching you now is one of the key things that even the manager didn't know the question about what is the customer paying for? Where does that cha-ching, the pay point happen? And the manager didn't know that, so we had to do pull in finance and HR and figure out the numbers and pull the data. The same thing I'm teaching you, right? Pull the data, truly understand it, and do much of that as understanding current state. So what we found out is that the customer is actually paying for the offload and reload of the containers at the rail station. Great. Okay, got that. We established a KPI around, offload per labor hour because they had a number of employees working. The same thing, reload on top of on the rail yard again, the number of employees that were there, right? And that was the established KPI. But the lost time in that and how you improve that is that you have to minimize touch points, right? Because many times what we saw is that they were taking the item off the rail yard and stacking on the ground, because the way it works is that when when the rail yards come in, there should be a long line of 18-wheelers waiting for their container, right? Long line. You have to go appointments, and they know, and the train station runs on a schedule, so you have this long line. But the thing about it is that they were touching these things multiple times, right? They're taking them off the train, stacking them on the ground, restacking those, and stacking them over here, and they were just doing a lot of this mess around stacking these things and touching them again. So we tracked the lost time and we minimized that to really kind of hone in on scheduling the items. And some companies would park their skits in advance, so they have these different zones where they park their skits, so that when they offload it, they knew where that skit was and they drop it right there instead of restacking it, right? So that was all done, and again, they definitely improved their efficiency overall, and definitely have worked a lot better within that. I think there was almost a 32% improvement in just KPI alone. But I mean, of course, the top layer of that was like the obvious stuff, the quick wins, the setting expectations, and all those different things that I'm teaching you, that you can get a bump in productivity. Then a lot of the second part to the 32% around that was really the hard work, right? Really establishing processes, KPIs, structuring the schedule and all those different things. But the other side benefit of this, I remember the manager coming to us and telling us, hey, you know what, my wife really appreciates that you guys are here, because of course he goes home and talks about us as well. And we said, well, what do you mean? Is because he said, I don't go home dirty anymore, because when I was before, as you saw, I was always working as an employee, and we saw that, right? We had to kind of coach him through that and kind of take him away from that work that he was doing. But he was doing a lot of employee work. But he definitely said, hey, you know what, I really appreciate it. I don't go home dirty anymore, and then now I know how to manage the work, right? And if you're, again, the same thing, if you're a manager doing employee work, you got to get away from that. So if you're a new manager and you're having a hard time figuring the KPIs, ask yourself what the customer's paying for. Establish a KPI around that, then establish other things that you think are important that drive value to the organization. In my ebook, I teach you 7 or 8 different KPIs that you can get started with that are important, that drive improvements in your organization. So if you want to get that ebook and learn what this manager just did in this train station, I show you the same principles. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments, DM me, If you want to learn how to become an effective manager, follow for more or join a newsletter.